This is a film about contraceptives. It's about male sheaths, Dutch caps, loops and pills, things that can be used so that two people can make love to each other without starting a baby. But there's much more to making love, to having sexual intercourse, than just making sure that the girl doesn't become pregnant. Although this film deals only with one aspect of sexual relations, there are many others that need to be thought about and discussed. All the same, it is important to know about contraception. No one should start a baby that's not going to be wanted. If you should have sexual intercourse, do make sure that you don't start an unwanted child. It's the least you can do. All over the country, there are clinics which have been set up to advise people about birth control, family planning, contraception. This is one of them. Anyone can go to one of these clinics and it doesn't cost anything. You can find out where they are from notices at places like the town hall or in doctors' waiting rooms. We asked the doctor who runs this one to tell us about contraception and about different contraceptives.
I come to this clinic twice a week to give advice and help to people who wish to know about contraception. Contraception means the avoidance of an unwanted pregnancy. By this I mean being able to enjoy lovemaking without fear of having a baby you don't want.
Let's remind ourselves how conception occurs, that is, how a baby gets started. First, we look at a woman's reproductive organs. There's the womb, in which the baby, once started, can grow and develop until it's ready to be born. The womb's connected to the outside of the body by a passage called the vagina. Then there are the two ovaries, one at each side, which contain the eggs or ova, which can only start to develop into babies if they're fertilized by a sex cell from a man. They're connected to the womb by two tubes called oviducts. About once a month, one or more ova are released from one ovary or the other. There's one on the left of the screen. It's really much smaller than this, of course. It travels, much more slowly than this, along the oviduct towards the womb. Now, if while an egg is in the oviduct, the woman has sexual intercourse with a man, this is what can happen. The man inserts his erect penis. When he reaches his orgasm, his climax, the liquid called semen is ejaculated into the vagina. This contains millions of sperms, the male sex cells. If one of these gets up through the womb into the oviduct and meets the egg, it may pierce it. This is conception. The egg now contains stuff from both the mother and the father, and it starts to divide to produce more cells. A clump of living cells forms, and this passes into the womb, attaches itself to the lining of the womb, and over another 8 months grows into the baby, which will then be born. Many people try to make sure they don't start a baby by means of coitus interruptus. The doctor explains this and tells us about some much better methods of contraception.
Coitus interruptus is the withdrawal of the man's penis from the woman's vagina before he reaches his climax. The snags about this method are, one, that the man may be unable to withdraw the penis from the vagina before he reaches his climax, and secondly, even if he manages this, he may have leaked some semen into the vagina before he reaches his climax. So this is not a method that we recommend, and there are far better methods to be used. One of the most widely used methods of contraception is the sheath, sometimes called the condom or the French letter. I have one here. The sheath is made of very thin rubber, and this has a teat at the end of it, so that it will hold the semen when the man has reached his climax. It is very important that it is put correctly on an erect penis. It must be rolled on, and the teat must have the air excluded from it, otherwise it may burst and the semen will be deposited in the vagina. The advantage of using this method, of course, is that they're so easily obtained. You can get them at the chemist, you can get them at the barber shop, or from slot machines. Another advantage of the sheath is that it can prevent the spread of venereal diseases, VD. One of these, gonorrhea, can be very dangerous. The disadvantages are that if the penis is not withdrawn from the vagina immediately, the sheath may be left behind, or it may burst if it is not applied properly. So really, we usually advise that another method of contraceptive is used with it. We suggest you use one of these. It is called a spermicidal pessary. It melts in the vagina and releases a chemical which kills the sperm. It must be put in before you start having intercourse and goes into the vagina. Although using a sheath on its own is a very good method, it is much better if a pessary is also used with it. In fact, most clinics do have packets which contain sheaths and pessaries together. The sheath is a method for the man to use. The sheath and pessary for both the man and the girl to use. There are other methods for the girl to use on her own, such as this. This is called a cap, a diaphragm, or a Dutch cap. This, like the sheath, is made of a very thin rubber with an outer thicker rim. It is put into the vagina to cover the neck of the womb and so prevents the sperm getting into the womb and fertilize the egg, like this. The cap must always be used with a spermicidal cream, and it is put on like this. About 2 inches are put on the upper surface and a little blob on the undersurface, and then it is inserted into the vagina like this. This is a very good method to use, but of course you cannot buy these at anywhere. You must attend a doctor and be fitted for the cap, as they come in different sizes. Of course, it must also be inserted before you start having intercourse, and it is left in the vagina until at least 6 hours afterwards, when you can remove it, wash it and put it away until it is needed again. About every 6 months, it is advisable to visit the doctor to check and make absolutely sure that the size is still the correct one for you. Instead of using a cap, women can use things like these. These are intrauterine devices, or IUD. This is a coil, this a loop, and that a copper 7. One of these is put inside the womb and interferes with the lining of the womb and prevents a fertilized egg becoming attached, and so stops the development of a baby. Let's take the copper 7 and see how it is inserted. This is the introducer. It consists of a plastic tube and a plunger. We thread the copper 7 into the plastic. This is a model of the womb. The doctor passes the introducer through the vagina, through the cervix, and places the device inside the womb. This small piece of thread is left in the vagina. so that the device can be removed when necessary. This is a good method of contraception. However, it has to be fitted by a doctor, and the girl in the first 3 months may have some slight side effects. She has to check the neck of the womb 2 or 3 times a week to make sure that she can't feel any thick plastic coming through the neck of the womb, which shows that it is coming out. And her periods may be a little heavier for the first 3 months, after which they usually settle down. It is not really a good method for a young girl, as we have other methods to offer her. The most reliable method of contraception is the oral contraceptive, or the pill. If the pill is taken for 21 days out of every 28 days, an egg is not released from the ovary, and so fertilization can't occur. You must see a doctor before starting the pill. There are different sorts of pills, and the one chosen for a girl will depend on the type of period she has. Each pack contains 21 pills, each pill clearly marked with the day of the week, because it is very important that you don't forget to take a pill. For the first fortnight on the pill, you may not be fully protected against a pregnancy, so it is advisable to use another contraceptive just for that first 2 weeks. As we've said, you must see a doctor about the pill. You just can't buy them at a chemist, because there are a few girls who may find it dangerous to take the pill. You can go to your own family doctor or to a clinic doctor like me. If you come to a clinic doctor, I would have to notify your GP that you are taking the pill, because after all, the pills are drugs, and your doctor must know that you are on drugs. You have probably heard of the rhythm or safe period method. For a few days each month, it is unlikely that fertilization of an egg can occur, and so if intercourse occurs on these days, a baby can't be started. You must have expert advice on this method. It's no good trying to work it out for yourself. Even with expert advice, it can go wrong. There are far more reliable methods to use. Now, although most of the people who come to our clinics for advice on the pill or any other method of contraception are usually over the age of 16, anyone under the age of 16 can come to us to ask our advice and help. The clinic doctor will try to help you if she can. It will be treated in strict confidence, and no one will be notified unless you agree. If you know about contraception, the need for an abortion will never arise. If, however, you do become pregnant, before you do anything, you must seek advice from your parents, your own family doctor, or from a clinic doctor like me.
Facts for life. Many people believe that contraception's a good thing, but some people think that it's wrong. You'll need to make up your own minds about it. But there's much more to making love than simply being able to have sex without making babies. However, you should at least know what contraception's all about. These are the methods we've seen in this film. The rhythm method. This needs expert advice, and even then it may not be reliable, although some people think it's the only method it's proper to use. The condom, or French letter. These are easy to obtain, and unlike the other contraceptives, give some protection against VD, but they can fail, and it's safer to use a condom in conjunction with a spermicidal pessary. You don't have to see a doctor to use this method. The cap. This is a good contraceptive device for a woman to use. It must be properly fitted by a doctor, and the fit has to be checked up on regularly, especially, by the way, after a woman's recently had a baby. You have to use a spermicidal cream as well. loops and coils. These IUDs, intrauterine devices, are reliable, but they have to be fitted by a doctor, and they may cause some trouble at first. They're not really suitable for young girls. The pill. This is probably the most reliable contraceptive of all. You can only get it on a doctor's prescription, and it's very important that a woman gets medical advice before using it. Used properly, it gives complete protection against getting pregnant. But no contraceptive is foolproof. You must understand any contraceptive you use and know how it works. There are plenty of people ready and able to give you advice.
If you know about contraceptives, you need never have an unwanted baby.
There are many other things about sex you must think about, but at the very least you don't have to get pregnant.
You can make a contribution to the last 2 programmes in this series by sending in questions or comments from your school. Details are given on page 27 of the Facts for Life Teachers booklet. Please send your questions as soon as possible.